Peter.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. I was gonna try to see if I could get in and join your live, but I don't know. I guess we're just gonna kind of see how it goes. So we'll see. I don't know.
I
I'm
think
not
we're
gonna.
live. I
All
think
right,
we're
cool.
live. I mean, I got a
All right.
live button on my, let me look at my Instagram just again.
Yeah, you
It's
are.
still it's still counting down, but we are
All right.
good.
Well, let's rock and roll. Well, listen, I'm excited, and the reason I'm excited is because you and I we worked together. We worked together for like 8 years. We've been on a ton of Zooms. We've been done seminars together and workshops together, and we've always talked about the idea of like, let's just get together and like have a conversation and just talk about whatever we want to talk about, and hopefully somebody will hear it, somebody will like it, and somebody will enjoy it, and it'll help them. And now here we are. So I'm excited about that. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
It's due. It was due, and we needed to do this. And we've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, and here we are. We're doing it, and
Yeah,
we're launching it. So
yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think what we're going to talk about is probably the thing that I feel it's like our jumping off point, which is the discussion around vision. And I, as I was thinking about it, it's like, um, we talk about vision in business, we talk about vision in life, and I think we're going to talk about both. Um, but I'm curious, like, why you think vision is a great jumping off point for a discussion around business and life. Like, why are we starting there? What's the point of that?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know how you would do anything without a vision, to be honest. Um,
Yeah.
so that's number one. I don't know how you would do anything without a vision, and a vision also comes from the word, I think, or at least part of that word, visualize, or visualize might come from the word vision. I don't know which
Hmm.
is the root actually. Um, but there's so much conversation about being able to visualize something, and if you can visualize it, it'll get done. And if you think about it like this, I think of it this way: like the chair you're sitting in, someone had to visualize that chair before it was built.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it
This is
just
a good
doesn't
one. This is
happen.
a good one, by the way. This is a really good one.
I like it.
Yeah.
This one's not bad either.
Maybe one day if we ever get like sponsors, we'll get a sponsor by this chair company. But anyways, yes, I digress.
Yeah. So I think visualization is really important. And it's so funny, like when I think about certain things that have happened in my life that have been accomplished, like that, it seems that it was always a vision first. I always visualized it. I always had a vision about it. I always had a, God, I'd like to do that. What does it look like?
Hmm.
Kind of thing. Like what does it
Hmm.
look like?
Hmm. I feel like people crave vision, but rarely take the time to like sit down and actually spend time on it. And as we were kind of having bounced around ideas, like, hey, what do you want to talk about? Like, we're just gonna get on and you're gonna get on Instagram and go live, and we're gonna do this thing. Like, why people just like don't take the time to slow down and do it. I think there's a lot of doing, there's a lot of goal setting, but I don't know if there's a lot of like time taken to set vision or spend time on it. Like, why do you think that is?
I'm going to throw it back at you, actually. Like, why do you think, why do you think people, I don't know.
I think there's a little bit of like, I think people do. Like, I was talking to somebody today, and I'd asked him, I said, hey, like, do you have a vision for your business? And he said no. And it was like a total candid good answer, and I was okay with the answer because it was real. He's like, no, he's like, I got goals. He's like, I can kind of like know where I want to be, but he didn't relate that to like vision. He didn't sit there and go, oh, I sat down and like, he makes fun of me for my vision boards, right? We're buddies, and so he's like, dude, your vision board's like enough already, right? And then he kind of threw it back. He's like, do you have a vision? I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, I might be over indexed on vision, right? Like, I might spend too much time on vision and maybe need to spend more time on execution sometimes. But I just find especially like, um, I feel like it's like people think fall into like two camps. There's like the people like me that are like kind of overly visual and like maybe spend too much time there, and then there's some people that don't at all. And I don't know if one is better than the other, but eventually I think things break down a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meaning
Well,
like, you can go hard and be a driver and goal, but like I think it I don't know, I think it kind of catches up with you at some point if you don't have that clarity and that vision.
That's so funny. I got to reach out to my daughter because we actually put a vision board together. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
we did it digitally, which was really cool. Because when I think of vision boards, I think of people cutting out pieces of magazine and slapping it on a thing. And here's the
Arts and
house I
crafts.
want.
Yeah.
Here's the car I want. Here's the lifestyle I want. Here's the vacation I want to take. You know what I mean? And that's really cool. But my daughter and I, we did these like digital ones and we just found these like digital
Hmm.
images. We built this really, really cool thing. It should become my screensaver actually, because it still applies today. But I called her and I go, sweet. I go, how are we going to do this again? I completely forgot the process of how we did this. What do we? And so she's all jazzed. I think you even need to sit down with your kids and do this. I think vision is so important that we should
Yeah.
start teaching our kids at a very young age to do this, to actually imagine the life they want to have, to imagine the career they want to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To imagine anything, right? And she was so jazzed about it. So we're going to do it again, and it was so much fun when we actually just sat down there and like, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? Where do you want to live? Where do you want to go on vacations? Just thinking it through. Why not?
Um, so I started doing that, and I almost like don't want to say this because I feel like sometimes people say these things and you're like, do you really do this? But like when I say this, like we actually do this. So for the last 3 years on New Year's Eve, I take my family into the office and we
No.
print them all up. Yeah, we do. I'll send you video. I swear. I'll even post a
Yep.
video after that.
And you take
Like it's
videos of it? No way.
it's yeah. Well, take video of them presenting their vision board because I want to remember it. Like
Yeah.
when I've got my son's 18, my daughter's 15, and so I hope that we can kind of continue this tradition. But it was um, it was one of those things that just like a couple years ago, we just sat down and like, hey, it'd be cool. Like people have New Year's resolutions, all that. So we go in the office and we cut things out and we create these vision boards and then we present them to each other. And and I will say that, like for my kids, it's been a very powerful exercise because when the things happen that are on their vision boards and they connect it, it's like, oh, I said I wanted to do this and now it happened. Like
Hmm.
there's so much power in that. I know we're kind of
Yeah.
off topic and tangenting, and I certainly don't want to be like all about vision boards, but it's in this vein. Like that's why it's important. And like for adults not to do that, especially if you're running a business,
Hmm.
like to me that I don't know. Seems like it's a really important misstep.
Well,
So, so I, so I
what was
think it's
a
important.
pivotal? Let me ask you a question. What was a pivotal moment for you where you wrote your first vision or whatever, or you sat down and thought about your life
Yeah.
maybe for the first time? I mean, maybe you've always done it since a young kid. I don't know, but like, was there a
Yeah.
moment, or was it something you've always done?
No, I think I fell into the camp of somebody that would like set goal and do, right? It was very much that person. I think that was me in my 20s. Like I was a very like, I wanted to like make money. And so I've like had this thing where it's like, I'd set the goal and then go and grind and grind and grind. And then eventually I'd make the money. I'd be like, okay, cool. I hit that goal. And then I think in my 30s, I came like, I wanted to be like business success guy, meaning like, I want to be number one this. And like, there are probably a lot of like ego involved. And then in my 40s, I think I like calmed down a little and like got a little bit more about impact and you know, about other people. And this is kind of funny but like where it clicked for me of like, hey, when I have a vision and those visions, it's had nothing to do with business, had nothing to do with family, had to do with my dog.
Hmm.
So I made my first vision board, I don't know, maybe in mid 30s, somewhere in there. And I always wanted a golden doodle. And I knew exactly what color I wanted him to be. I knew I wanted a boy dog. I knew the size that I wanted him to be. And it was on my vision board for like 5 years. And and a lot of the things on the vision board didn't weren't yeah, they're sort of happening, but a lot not to like the way that I wanted it to be. And so finally, like my wife agreed that we were gonna get a dog, and I went to pick him up. And I'm not even joking, Peter, like literally the photo on my vision board. was this little dog sitting in the front door of the place that we are going to pick him up. And that was the first time. And I know that's not like the most powerful experience, but it was the first time I connected. I was like, oh, if you really like, get clear on something and drive towards it and put energy into it and focus on it, then it happens. And
Yeah.
the reason I use that example is because it was so identical. And so my wife and I, we just went on a trip to Italy this for the first time. It was the first time we'd ever been to Italy. And on my vision board sitting over there on my desk is a photo in Amalfi. It's of like the Amalfi Coast and of the town of Amalfi. And I kid you not, I was standing in Amalfi 3 weeks ago at the exact vantage point that photo's. And again, I was like, oh, like there it is. And so the more I do it now, the more it happens, and the more I, believe in it, and the more power I see behind it. So um, that's kind of been and like so now I'm like all in. Like I said, I'm probably over indexed. I'm like too into it,
Well,
but
but
it's like yeah.
I- it shows the power of it really, and it shows that it works. But here's the interesting rub around it.
Hmm.
And this is the thing that I think people get fooled by it, is they kind of mix this whole thing of having a vision and manifesting. And I think a lot of people start thinking about manifesting like I'm gonna with my brain like somehow like Spock end up in Amalfi Coast
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it and I see it, I see it, I see it, without any, you know, nuts and bolts around it, no meat behind it. Just like I'm gonna sit in my couch, I'm gonna stream all day long and eat Cheetos, but I'm gonna end up in Italy or something. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
manifestation is real,
Yeah.
but it's not magic.
No.
And I think that's what's so funny about it. You know what I mean? And so when you think back now, like the dog, Italy, some of these great achievements you've had in business,
Yeah.
you had a vision around these things. They didn't just
Hmm.
magically appear.
No.
You probably had to
No.
think through the vision a little bit more, like the chair. We're going to need some leather. We're going to need some metal. We got to like
That's right.
put this thing together, right?
Yeah, no, and I think like one of the things I was actually going to ask you is like, I think when it comes to setting up a vision for your business or your life, I think sometimes it feels too abstract. But um, I guess for anyone that would be listening, it's like for somebody that says that to you, I guess how do you respond? Like, hey, it feels really abstract, and you kind of said it just now. It's like it's not navel gazing. It's not just sitting and like I mean, that's part of it is dreaming and visualizing, but like then there's also part is like putting action behind it, right? So I guess
hmm
how would you respond to that with like that comment that maybe is too abstract?
Well, I would say you're right. It can be. I wouldn't like totally dismiss that thought, but I would say if you don't have a dream, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have something that you can pack with emotion and pack with passion and pack with energy and disciplines around it and certain things to actually make this vision become a reality, you're not going to go anywhere. I would say a vision is like, well, here I am, my credit cards are maxed out. I'll just tell you, like when I first did my first vision or vision board and my first, plan of what I wanted to do and build as a young real estate agent. That was probably my first attempt at creating some vision for myself. I was backed into it. I mean, I was up against the wall, man. My credit cards were maxed out. I wasn't sure how I was going to pay the rent. I didn't know
Hmm.
what I was going to do. So I had to like, there I am. So here's my starting point. I first became very, very clear on my starting point, and then I said, where do I want to go?
Hmm.
Where do I want to end up? And that's kind of like how that all came together. And so then I imagined what my business as a young real estate agent could look like.
Hmm.
And then from there, I tried to back into well, how do I get there?
Right.
And we talk about vision and mission statements, so we can get into that a little bit too. The mission statement that supports the vision is kind of a tactical part of the whole conversation. It's where the
Hmm.
strategy comes in. It's where the actual action steps come in and things like that. So I don't think, for example, Elon Musk just woke up one day and built a spaceship without thinking about. He has a vision around that. He had a
Yeah.
vision around the Tesla. It's like it's like Steve Jobs. I mean, man, what a visionary. When he created music in your pocket. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was crazy. That had
Yeah.
to come from here. The phone just didn't end up in his pocket.
No, not at all. Um, you made me think of something as you were talking. Do you think that the life vision and business vision should be separate, or are they one thing?
Oh, you and I, you know, that was a setup, Dave. You and I have talked about this a lot, and what's really fun about it is that they will collide, and they
Well,
collided
it's
for
just
me.
the reason I said that is like as you're talking about like the phone and music, and then like think about how many things are on your phone today, right?
Right.
Sometimes things get compartmentalized, and it's like those visionary people aren't just thinking about a phone. They aren't thinking like, oh, I'm just going to develop this cell phone that you pick up. They're thinking about all the things that are in the phone. And so the reason I ask that is I think about, we in
Mm.
these conversations a lot of times about business, but like I don't know if you have one without the other. And I think that actually adds another layer of challenges because people, you know, can often get there in business or vice versa. They can get there like, hey, here's how I want my life to look, but I don't know how the business is gonna look. Or here's where I want to be in, or vice versa. So it's interesting to me, and I think that's maybe where some challenges come in.
Well, there's a lot of conflict around it, isn't that? I mean, like the different people that we've coached and mentored over the years, when you start talking about their business vision, they get all excited about it until maybe they look at the hours that are required or the activities that are required. And all of a sudden
Mhm.
now that conflicts with walking the dog. It conflicts with seeing the soccer game that your children are playing. It's conflict with spending time with your significant other. And then all of a sudden, or maybe it's affecting your health, or maybe it's, these other things. And so to just have a vision around your business, which unfortunately so many people do, and honestly, no matter how successful they are, they could be extremely miserable because it is in conflict with maybe what their real heart desires are that they're not looking at, that they're not considering or respecting, are being ignored, are not getting cared for. And so now all of a sudden their personal lives are going down the tank. Their wife
Mhm.
files a divorce, the kids are not coming home because, you know what I mean? All these things that you weren't putting your attention into are now going haywire. Your business could be like lights out. Maybe you're
Yeah.
the wealthiest person in your neighborhood, but so what? Because your life is falling apart, it's crumbling.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, man, if you're not considering your personal vision and somehow marrying it with your business vision, I think you're going to really like one's going to suffer. Either you're not going to hit your business goals because you're not
Mhm.
willing to maybe not just focus entirely on your personal life. We see that side. We see both. We see some people just so concerned about, you know, having comfortable, great lives that they don't put the effort into a business to support that. And then we see
Mhm.
people that are so focused on being super, super successful. All of a sudden now they're overweight. They have alcoholism, their drug addictions, or their families are falling apart. They can't pay. I mean, they're super successful. They have the right cars in the garage, the right house, and everything, but everything else is in shambles. So it's a great question, and I think when people think about their visions, they gotta look at the whole picture.
Um, I was thinking about this the other day that, you know, we get really in like busy mode, right? Or we'll call it like survival mode or whatever it is. And I think that's where vision can really pull you through. But sometimes when you're in those moments, um, it's hard, right? Like if you're, whatever it is, it's just maybe there's a lot of life going on. There's a lot of chaos going on. You're, the most busy you've ever been. You don't know how you're gonna, keep up. Um, in those moments, how do you stay attached to your vision?
Well, not very well sometimes, just to be completely honest. Like I
Yeah.
think if you really analyzed my schedule once in a while, I think you would say sounds like you're supporting everybody else's vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
think that's okay. I mean, we got to kind of 80-20 rule would be great if we could just be 80% of the time doing, practicing the disciplines and focusing on what we should be focusing on, and not going for 100%. And I think that's where people stress out or give up. They
Yeah.
try so hard to be perfect that they don't even end up at 80%. Where I think if you say, I'm going to be 80% good on my diet, I'm going to be 80% good on my workouts, I'm going to be 80% good at work, you know what I mean? 80%. I think you're going to do really well in life. I think it's when we shoot for that 100% and we put that extreme pressure on ourselves. I'm thinking of someone right now that does that. I mean, it's so regimented that I don't know how they feel happy about that. I don't think you
Hmm.
could. I don't
Hmm.
think it exists. And the other thing too is there's going to be times where maybe you're spending more time on your personal life than you are in your business, or more time on your business than your personal life. And that's going to have to be okay too, because I don't think we're going to have that perfect legal scale balance where it's like this. I think it's going to shift once
No.
in a while. You know what I mean? And I
No
and
way.
so in a sense, I think we've got to understand that, to have that emotional IQ that, all right, I know I'm doing a lot of work right now, but this project has to get done. And I know I'm spending a lot of time with my family right now, and but work will wait for me. I mean, it has
Hmm.
to go both ways. And
Hmm.
I taken me a long time to learn that, Dave. It's not easy. You know what I mean?
No.
I was like you. I got so, you never had me out of an Armani suit. I mean, tie all the way up, man. I was on full business mode. But
Hmm.
the rest, everything else was really kind of. I gained
Put
30
aside.
pounds. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you think sometimes people are afraid to imagine a bigger or better future for themselves, so it keeps them away from vision?
Have you ever felt that way?
Yes, for sure.
Tell me about it.
Um, being too successful will mean I won't have time for the things that are important to me. And so like I have this quote that sits on my desk, and I don't think I'm gonna say it exactly right, but you'll get the idea. It says, "Don't shrink to fit into the places that you've outgrown." And the reason I have that on my desk is because of that. Because I found, in dreaming or thinking about a vision or, a better life or a bigger life or whatever we're going to call it, that somewhere in that vision creation, you have moments where you all of a sudden retract and you go, oh, I don't know. That seems a little too out there. It seems a little too big. I don't know if whatever. Maybe you're in a corporate job and it's you don't feel that you should be in that room or have a seat at that table, or or you come up with a really good idea, but like raising the capital seems like just too big of a mountain to climb. And so I keep that quote there for that exact reason, which is I've had moments where I've retracted away from an opportunity because my vision around it, I can't get there. I can't see myself. I mean, even doing stuff like this, Peter, it's like I have a vision that I have so much I want to share with people, but then when it's like you start getting pushed, rubber to the road kind of situation, you know, your vision and the reality of executing it start to collide. So yeah, for sure. I've definitely, I mean, and then,
Yeah.
things come up in life. You
Yeah.
have obstacles, you have challenges that come up in life that challenge the vision that you have for yourself, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm thinking of like friends I know that like want to get in great shape, but they travel so much for work. It's like they have a vision of how they want to be, but their, you know, realities of their life are taking them kind of like in separate directions. Um, so I think that actually poses a challenge, is like, the realities of your life today may conflict with the vision that you have for yourself. And that's where, that's where the breakthroughs, I guess, have to happen, or that's where you have to get really clear and really more attached to the vision, excuse me, more attached to the vision than um, what you're experiencing in the moment, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I'm thinking about the example of the guy that travels, right? And my head just went to this place. There's a gym at every hotel in the world,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
So it's just not his vision to be in shape, and yet he's saying it is. He's got to go, dude, I'm okay with this body. You know what I mean? I'd much
Hmm.
rather do something else than go to the gym while I'm traveling. And that's just it. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes I have conversations with people that have a vision that's not their vision. They're borrowing somebody else's. They're
Yeah.
borrowing that person's vision from Instagram, the one with the six pack, and they're saying, I want to be that, but they really don't. Or they're borrowing a vision on somebody that they see is really successful, but they don't, that's not really the vision. And it's sometimes it's like being honest. Having a great vision requires a lot of honestness.
Hmm.
So we'll go to that in a minute. I also want to talk about what you said about being afraid of failing. I think you were kind of referring to, feeling maybe like a fraud. I've had that feeling a million times. Like, what do they wait till they find out about me? Kind of a feeling. I don't really have
Imposter.
the answers. I don't
Imposter.
really
Yeah.
know. I mean, I'm extremely worried about what people think about me, which is something, I'm working on. I mean, if I'm going to really be honest, and I think we should all be really honest when we're trying to grow as human beings, because if you're not being totally honest with yourself, you're never going to grow. And so all of those things come into play, like, should I do this or not? What if it fails? You know, what's fun about stepping out and doing it is once you make the decision and you step out, it's like you're in motion, you're
Hmm.
going. You know what I mean? You're not any less afraid, you're not any less worried about all those things I just said, but you're in motion. And
Yeah.
I love this saying. I think I invented it. I didn't hear it from anybody else, but it's something I say when I'm in that mode of like worrying whether it's going to work or not, or whether I can do it or not, or how, will the world respond? And my saying is this, I think you'll like it.
Hmm.
The world steps aside for a person that knows where they're going. And you need a vision to
Yeah.
know where you're going.
You do.
And the world will. And you may not notice it. And I've had situations where I've done things and I've just been shunned by people. And then next thing you know, 6 months later, they're back and they want part of it. And so it's a very, very interesting thing. But if you somehow can just get yourself to take that first step, the world will part like the Red Sea.
Yeah. Have you ever carried a vision for a long time, like maybe a couple years, and just never done anything with it?
Yeah, because maybe the timing wasn't right.
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think everything has timing to it, whether it's the right economic time, maybe just the right people in place to do it with, maybe it's having the finances, maybe it's when you're ready. That's a big part of it. I mean,
Hmm.
I have thought about doing things that I'm thinking about doing something right now that I'm like, is this right? Is this the right moment to do it? You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
and
Timing's huge.
yeah,
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it resonated where the 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 topic wasn't vision, but it was talking about a little bit of what you're saying, which is like you've got to get really clear as you get intentional about your life, and as you get clear, you've also got to be clear about the realities of things. And the person was giving an example of they wanted to get an MBA, they wanted to learn Spanish and learn guitar, but they were taking care of like an aging parent, had small children at home, and were like at the pinnacle of their career. And it's like they could still have the vision and they still can do those things, but right then in that moment in that time in life, it didn't make sense. And so that's kind of why I asked the question is like, do you carry a vision even though you're not executing on it? Or do you abandon it? Do you get rid of it and you know, move on?
I don't think if it's a vision, you're going to be able to abandon it.
That's how I
it's
am.
gonna stay with you, I think, unless it's not your vision. I mean, like I say, I mean, like I've thought about things that really weren't things I should do.
Yeah.
Didn't fit my personality, didn't fit my, you know, I don't know, just the makeup of who I am as a person. And so those visions weren't my vision. So you know, I don't even know if we'll call them a vision. Maybe it was a passing thought. But when you have a vision, there's something really strange about it, Dave. It never leaves the back of your mind. It never, ever goes away. But here's a question I have for you. This is interesting. Do you share your vision with people or do you not? There's two schools
Mm,
of thought on that. One is if you share it, it creates accountability. Another
hmm.
school is if you share it, it like dissipates the intensity of it. And it's not like something that's your kind of personal
Yeah.
stash, your personal
Yep.
treasure.
Yeah. My answer, I know my answer. My answer is I've learned over the years, having shared visions and goals with people that, and this is going to sound negative, but I promise it's not. It's you have to know who you can trust with sharing your vision with. And the reason I say that is this is because you're going to have your cheerleaders in life. You're going to have the people that are not your cheerleaders. You're going to have people that have different philosophies about dreaming big. And so I think I think you do share, but you've got to share it with people that are going to be supportive of you, independent of what the vision is. And the only way to really do that is learn over time who's in that corner in your world. And so for me, my wife is that person. I think you would be that person. I have a few other people, but there's not a lot. Like I've learned to not go and just spray it all over the place and share it with everyone. And I think it's just because, especially in the beginning stages, if you're really excited about something, having people tell you, the reasons it won't work, I think for me feeds the wrong things in that moment, and it's like, maybe if you get it further down the road and it's becoming tangible, that's different. If you're creating
Mhm.
something and now you're looking for feedback and you're looking like you and I did something recently and somebody came to us and offered some feedback. And I think you and I were both like, we're not ready yet. Like, we need to get this a little further along. We got to get the vision out there. We got to kind of promote it a little more, just like we'll probably do with
Mhm.
this. And it's like, so yeah, I think you do, but I think you gotta learn and know who those people are before you do it. I'm not a big fan of like, oh, share it and then you're accountable. It's like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm not in that
Yeah.
school, but doesn't mean that
Yeah.
that's the only right answer.
Might be for the person. I do think there's some power in just kind of keeping it close to the vest. And I think that you can share it, like you say, with a real raving fan of yours, or not even a raving fan of yours, would be like somebody that's being honest with you. Like sometimes I'll
Hmm.
share things with my brother who I just totally respect. He's really smart. And I'm nervous to share ideas with him because he'll like challenge it. He doesn't
Start
just
poking
bless
holes
it.
in it. Yeah.
He does. He does. And
But there's value in that, but there's a right time for that.
but the conversation almost always comes around to him supporting me with the idea, making recommendations, almost like it would be like going to a mentor in a sense, you know what I mean? Where maybe he first
Hmm.
starts off asking questions, he might poke some holes, challenge it, and then once you get into it, because when somebody challenges you, if you can answer their challenges and their questions, then they get the light bulb moment and they see where you're heading with the idea, and then at that moment it starts clicking, and then you start working together. But the
Yeah,
conversation changes radically, how it could work, what is you know what I mean, look what it could look like. But I think as a rule, just to go out there and say something and then not do it, you know what I mean, or it dissipates the energy, I think, a little bit.
I think so too. From a tactical side of things, for anyone that is tuning in or listening, what's kind of something really simple to start? Like, let's say vision's always been really abstract. let's say it's not
Mhm.
something you've put a lot of thought into, or it's something you've maybe don't even haven't fully bought in on, because I've met more than enough of those people that are just like, I don't need that, I just do what I do, just fine. But like I said, I think it always catches up with you at some point where you need that vision or clarity to pull you through. So what's something simple that from a jumping off point, or something that maybe you build into your life, that would be a good simple first step?
Well, I had a coach. He was really a good coach for me. He really he really like got me and pulled out the essence of what makes me work. And when we were talking about vision, because we had the conversation about vision, and this may have been one of the pivotal moments. No, it wasn't the first pivotal moment, but maybe this third or fourth pivotal moment. So you're going to have lots of moments where your vision changes and adapts. And I think a lot of people have fear of putting a vision down because they're not 100% sure that they're giving themselves everything they want and everything they need. It's like, what if
Yeah.
I leave something out? It's kind of like some people can never get married because there's always a better person for them to marry, right? Or something
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
And I think people have that fear, that, oh my God, if I put this down, am I cutting myself short? Or maybe I should think. But here's the thing. And actually I learned this from, my one of my partners at Sharon. I mean, one of the things he taught me what was so cool was iteration. And you
Hmm.
use the phone, the Apple phone, it comes out pretty darn perfect, but it's not. And
Hmm.
then, through feedback from people and from the results of it, they start, 10-1, 10-2, 17-1, and it just goes on and on and on. But I think when you're putting this concept and vision together, give yourself a break around it, that just put what comes down first. Like just get out whatever's in your head first, with the understanding that as time goes on, it's going to change a little bit. But I will venture to say this, that the basic tenets of it, the real foundation of your vision never changes. Like if you have a vision of a certain kind of business, like create this, create that. I mean, that's going to stick with you. If you have this dream about doing something, but being really balanced about it and creating this healthy lifestyle, or maybe you're thinking like, God, I want to work really hard, but I don't want to work from any one location. I want to travel my whole life while I'm working. Maybe that's your vision. I mean, like I
Yeah.
think some of those things are just part of who you are. And I think, just throw it down with the thought that you can always iterate.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did I even answer the question? That's where my head went though.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It
How do
did.
you look at it? I mean, what do you think about it? Like, what's your first ready start?
um it's kind of, I might be oversimplified. I think it's sitting down and asking the question, where am I really going? What am I doing? Like, where am I going with this? Whatever it
Hmm.
is, because you have to answer that question. It's not a yes no, it's just a, where am I really going? And I think the word really is the more emphasized word. Like, maybe you need to write that on a piece of paper, but
That's
really
not
needs
the
to be all
question you asked,
caps.
Dave. I know the question you asked.
What's the
And this
question
is
I
what makes
asked?
you this is what makes you so incredible, and makes your why you're always like iterating and taking your life to the next level. You know what it is? You know the question that you ask?
Mm.
You ready? What am I
Yeah, I'm
doing?
like curious.
What
I'm
am
like,
I
what
doing? You ask
what
that
am
all the
I?
time. What am I doing?
Yeah, maybe.
Does that
Yeah.
resonate, or am I like, no?
What am I doing? I think it's together. It's, where am I really going and what am I doing? I might
Yeah.
say, what am I doing? But it's the same. I think maybe you've heard me, but I'm
Or
like,
maybe
what am
it's
I doing?
why am I doing this? Might
Yeah.
even be another question we ask. I ask this all the time too. Like,
Yeah.
what am I
But
doing and why am I doing it?
I think you're right. I think it's because you know me so well that it's like, I'm probably saying out loud, I'm like, what am I doing? Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I'm saying it. But what I'm really saying inside is, where am I really going with this? Like,
Yeah.
what is the point? What is the point here? Is this driving at where I see myself? So yeah, no, good call. I think it's a combo of
Isn't
all those
life
things.
too important not to ask that question though? Like people that are just aimlessly drifting through life without a vision.
Yeah.
I mean, I think unfortunately, for whatever reason, we're built with this idea that we're never going to die.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and and
I still haven't accepted that, but yes, yes.
and I
Agreed.
think it's probably good, because I think if you dwell on that too much, you can really get depressed. But
Yes.
it's also a it gives you like a ticket. I don't have to do it today. I can do it tomorrow.
Yeah. There's no urgency
I don't have
behind
to
it.
think about this right now. I'll think about it later.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, when you look at your calendar, this is kind of I'm gonna, you know me, I'm like always gonna end up going
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tack on like when you look at your calendar, do you see your vision in your calendar each week?
I already answered that. A lot of times, no.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people that we answer to, and so, in a sense, yes. I mean, a big part of my vision, which is not the overarching goal, but like one of the maybe part of the reason that I want to work really hard right now, is that I love the concept of being a service. I
Hmm.
love helping people, and I love helping companies, and I don't know what it is. I just really enjoy being a service. I'm finding out now more than ever that when I'm in service, I'm not thinking about myself so much. And when I'm thinking about myself a lot, it's
Hmm.
usually when I'm the most unhappy. So when I'm thinking about you and I'm trying to think how can we do this together? What can we do? What can we build? What can we grow? What can we do? I mean, that to me just gets me into the great space, And so for me, that you would see that within that stuff, because I'm doing a lot of stuff for other people and trying to help them be their best, or solve problems, or do things like that. So that for sure. You will also see some certain absolutes in my calendar that don't break. One of them being, my morning routine, which is where I
Hmm.
set up my vision and set up my life and everything. It's a non thing. It's a non-negotiable. You'll see things like, when I literally just turn the phone off, just shut down. And it could be the president of the United States calling. I'll get to him in the morning. You know what I mean? It's just the way it's going to
Hmm.
be.
Hmm.
And for me, those things are just key and critical. Because for me to be effective, I mean, we probably work 8 to 12 hours a day when you really think about it. It's some in that range. I mean, I probably average 9 to 10
Yeah.
in if I was really going to be honest with myself. But that's a lot, and you can get a lot done in that time, and so I don't really need to give up all my personal time. So when I absolutes around health and care, and accomplishing those goals that I want to accomplish for my family, for myself, and things like that, are definitely built into the calendar. um,
Hmm.
but a part of my big part of my vision is, and I think that's what supports some of the overarching goals, is like supporting people, helping people, build people, grow people, do all these things. Then all of a sudden you have this like wonderful company, or wonderful platform, or wonderful anything, because you're coming from, I think, a real value proposition, not just what am I going to get out of it? What am I
Hmm.
like? People like, how am I going to get promoted? How am I going to get the next job? Why, you know what I mean? Those people are the ones that just, they're victims.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. My wife, Carrie, she was, she was like, vice president of the western half of the United States for Calvin Klein fragrances. I mean, when our daughter was born, she was in position to take over the company for the whole country.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And she didn't do that by trying to promote herself. She is the same woman that when she's at your house, let's say you're having us over and there's a party, she's helping your wife cook, she's doing the dishes. She's just constantly a service.
Hmm.
When she's at the schools, she's not like the PTA. They end up making her president because she's the one taking out the trash. She's doing everything to keep it organized and running and really good. And so she figured out that just she doesn't she doesn't even want to get promoted. That's the funny thing. And so she is promoted because of that, and people just
Yeah.
love her, right? So
Yeah.
when our daughter was born, it was so interesting. They were starting to talk to her about taking over this role, and she quit. She wanted to be a mom, and that was her vision.
Yep.
She wanted that more than anything in the world. She wanted to be, super mom, and she was. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And she raised a beautiful daughter. Thank God, because much as I work, it really kicked in. So
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's vision.
Mhm. It is vision.
Yeah.
Um, so I think kind of to put a bow a little bit on this, if you gave yourself 10 minutes today to write about your personal vision, I think because it'd be good to hear kind of like what would it say? Like, what's your vision?
Mm.
Or maybe a better question, Peter. Yeah, I actually written it down here somewhere, and
Yeah,
I thought
because
this.
actually, I don't, you know what? It's interesting. My, you know, obviously my current vision is as you know, do a really good job where I'm employed. You know what I mean? Like to really crush it. Um,
Mhm,
you know, but always looking ahead. What's next? What's the next thing? Right? What like
mhm.
when you start thinking about things, it's like it's something. It's not. It's totally not established yet. To be honest, if I was going to be, but to do one, and I've written down a lot of ideas. Um, but mine's not firm yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there. I'll have to
Yeah,
share that one with you later.
yeah.
And
All
besides,
right.
I don't want to dissipate the energy, everybody.
Yes. Um, how far out can you see?
Not very far. Like I'm like wondering what
Me
happens at
neither.
5 o'clock. Like my wife
Yeah, me
says to me all the
neither.
time, like, what's happening on Thursday? I have no idea. I got to get through this day. I'm a very one day at a time person. And
Yeah.
so really like when we talk about vision, it chunks down to goals and then it chunks down to yearly, monthly, weekly, daily. And you know me, I've always said that if you can string together, a year of great days, you're going to have a great year. And so a lot of what
Yeah.
happens, that's very interesting. So a lot of my visionary structure is a daily structure that's very repeatable. It creates, the life in the life that I want, really.
Mhm. Yeah. I can't see that far either. Maybe I can. I don't know. I I tend
I
to
would
I
have cut
tend to
myself short. I would have cut myself short, to be honest.
what do you mean?
I think a lot of the things that I've been blessed with in my life, I didn't see.
Mm. I agree with that statement. Yeah. And I think the reason I asked the question as I was thinking about it is like I think a lot of people have a hard time seeing like 20 years down the road, let
Mm.
alone a year down the road because so much life happens, and I guess my question is like how to deal with that. Like when I think about it, I'm like, I can't see 10 years from now. I have an idea of like things that might take 10 years to get there, but I can't necessarily see it. And then when I think about planning, some people are fantastic at this. I just don't think I am. People do 1, 3, 5, 10. I think it's good to take a shot at it and see what comes up, but also to your point, don't get so rigid with it that you end up, underestimating yourself. Because there's
Mhm.
things that I've certainly done that have far surpassed what I thought
Yeah.
possible or I was capable of. Um, and so, but then I also think that not everyone, I think that there are plenty of people out there that go, oh, there's everybody else can see so far in the future. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true either, but I think it's
Yeah.
putting the effort in to try and to capture it and push yourself to
Absolutely.
see as far as you can.
Exactly. If I think about technology, and I mean, did we know we'd ever be sitting here like this having a conversation,
No.
streaming live on Instagram, this, I mean, it's like it's kind of silly, right? And now we're like grappling with AI and you're kind of getting a handle on it much faster than me, but like some of these things take me a while to understand, but then I'll have that aha moment and I'll go, here's how
Hmm.
I can use this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
have to sometimes wait for the inspiration. I have to wait sometimes. So that's probably another reason I'm not sharing my vision yet. Is I'm still in that waiting for that inspiration moment. I know I'm going to have it. I'm going to have that
Hmm.
aha moment. And it's going to go right on paper. It's going to go right onto a vision board. You know what I mean? And we're going to start working towards it. And it's really great. But it's like, it just happens when it happens sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the good news, everyone, is Peter and I, we did take a stab at trying to help people with this a little bit. We put together a little worksheet that People could sit down if they want to reach out to us either via DM or email or I probably DM. I imagine people that are on Instagram and social media. We'll send it to you guys. Peter and I sat down. We're like, okay, if we were going to try, if we were struggling with our vision, what are the questions we would ask ourselves? What would we write down? And we want to share that with all of you that are tuning in or listening. So please, reach out and contact us that way. Any kind of final thoughts on vision, Peter? Anything you want to wrap this up with?
I just want to say this little worksheet week that we're going to give you guys, use it. Just fill it out. Don't question it. Don't think about it. Don't wonder if it's worth it. Just fill it out. Just
Mm.
fill it out and look at it and think about it and iterate on it and see where it goes. Do that. Do that for us. That would be what I would say about vision right now. Give it a
Yeah,
try.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Peter. It's been fun talking to you. It went really fast. I'm sure, well, yeah, we're like 50 minutes in. Didn't feel that way for me. So hopefully it didn't feel that way for everyone else. And hopefully, I'm looking forward to doing more of these. So,
All right. Always
all
good to
right.
hang with you, Dave.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, everyone that's tuning into this. We'll be back with more as we continue to have conversations about all the things that we're thinking about, interested in, and we'll see you soon.